The gavel falls, the courtroom erupts in chaos, and one of hip-hop's brightest stars faces the ultimate consequence that could end everything he's built from nothing. Dominique Armani Jones, known to millions as Lil Baby, sits in federal custody as the weight of a potential life sentence hangs over the career that transformed him from Atlanta street corners to international superstardom. The charges that brought him to this moment aren't just serious, they're the kind that destroy legacies, shatter families, and send shockwaves through an entire industry that watched him rise from obscurity to become one of rap's most influential voices. But how did the artist who gave us hits like Drip Too Hard and Yes Indeed find himself facing the harshest penalty the American justice system can impose? What evidence could be so damning that it threatens to end not just his freedom but his life as he knows it forever? Dominique Armani Jones was born on December 3rd, 1994, in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Oakland City neighborhood, an area known for its struggles with poverty, crime, and limited opportunities for young people growing up in the inner city. His early life was marked by the challenges that face many children in urban communities, absent fathers, financial instability, and the constant presence of street life that offers both danger and opportunity. Lil Baby's introduction to music came later than many of his contemporaries, as he initially showed little interest in rap or performance during his teenage years. Instead, he was drawn to the streets, where he became involved in activities that would later lead to multiple arrests and incarcerations that interrupted his education and early adult development. His first significant legal troubles began when he was still a teenager, resulting in periods of incarceration that exposed him to the harsh realities of the criminal justice system while also providing time for reflection and the development of interests that he had not previously explored, including music and writing. The transformation from street life to music career began during one of his periods of incarceration, when he started writing lyrics and developing his distinctive style that would later capture the attention of established artists and industry professionals who recognized his natural talent. And questions arise about what specific experiences during Lil Baby's early life and legal troubles might have created the foundation for both his artistic success and the potential legal challenges that could threaten to end his career and freedom. Lil Baby's entry into the music industry came through his connection with Atlanta rapper Young Thug and the YSL Young Stoner Life Collective, though this association would later become controversial due to the legal troubles that have surrounded YSL and its members. His debut mixtape Perfect Timing was released in 2017 and immediately established him as a rising force in Atlanta's competitive rap scene. The success of Perfect Timing led to rapid recognition within the hip-hop community and the release of additional mixtapes including Harder Than Hard and Too Hard, each of which demonstrated his evolving skills and growing confidence as both a rapper and a businessman who understood the importance of maintaining momentum in the fast-moving music industry. His breakthrough into mainstream success came with the release of Drip Too Hard, a collaboration with Gunna that reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and established Lil Baby as a commercial force, capable of creating hits that appealed to both street audiences and mainstream listeners who were drawn to his melodic approach and relatable lyrics. The rapid ascent of Lil Baby's career from local Atlanta rapper to national superstar occurred within a remarkably short time frame, demonstrating both his natural talent and the power of authentic storytelling that resonated with audiences who connected with his experiences and perspective on overcoming adversity. Legal experts note that the speed of Lil Baby's rise to fame and fortune may have created new pressures and challenges that affected his decision-making and associations, potentially contributing to situations that could result in serious legal consequences. The commercial success that followed Lil Baby's initial breakthrough included multiple platinum-selling albums, concert tours, and endorsement deals that transformed him from a struggling young man in Atlanta into a multi-millionaire entertainer with global recognition and influence within hip-hop culture. His debut studio album, Harder Than Ever, reached number 3 on the Billboard 200 chart and included collaborations with established artists like Lil Wayne, Drake, and Offset, demonstrating his ability to work with hip-hop's elite while maintaining his distinctive style and authentic voice that had attracted fans initially. The financial success generated by Lil Baby's music career extended beyond album sales and streaming revenue to include lucrative touring opportunities, merchandise sales, and business ventures that diversified his income streams and created wealth that seemed to secure his financial future for decades to come. The lifestyle changes that accompanied Lil Baby's success included expensive jewelry, luxury cars, designer clothing, and real estate investments that reflected his new status, while also creating potential security risks and financial obligations that required careful management and protection from individuals who might seek to exploit his wealth. His public image during this period was carefully managed to present him as a successful artist who had overcome adversity while maintaining connections to his community and using his platform to address social issues, particularly those affecting young people in urban communities similar to where he grew up. The transformation from street life to legitimate business success appeared to represent the positive change that society encourages, with Lil Baby frequently cited as an example of how talent and determination could create opportunities for young people to escape cycles of poverty and crime. However, legal experts wonder whether the transition from illegal activities to legitimate business was as complete as it appeared publicly, and whether certain associations or obligations to influence his decisions and create potential legal vulnerabilities. The hip-hop industry's complex relationship with street credibility and authentic experiences creates unique challenges for artists to achieve mainstream success while maintaining connections to environments where illegal activities may be common or accepted as normal aspects of community life. Lil Baby's lyrics often referenced his past experiences with drug dealing and street life, which contributed to his authenticity and credibility with fans, but also created a public record of admissions that could potentially be used as evidence in legal proceedings if authorities decided to pursue charges related to his past activities. The balance between maintaining street credibility and avoiding legal jeopardy requires careful navigation of public statements, song lyrics, and associations that could be interpreted as evidence of ongoing criminal activity or connections to individuals who remain involved in illegal enterprises. The social media presence that is essential for modern music marketing also creates potential legal risks, as posts, photos, and comments can be preserved and analyzed by law enforcement agencies looking for evidence of criminal activity or associations with individuals under investigation. Legal experts note that successful rappers often face enhanced scrutiny from law enforcement agencies that may view their wealth and influence as indicators of possible criminal activity, leading to investigations that might not be pursued against individuals in other professions with similar financial success. The collaborative nature of the hip-hop industry means that artists frequently work with producers, managers, and other professionals whose own legal situations could create complications for everyone associated with them, making it difficult to completely separate artistic collaborations from potential legal entanglements. Lil Baby's association with Young Thug and the YSL Collective became problematic when federal and state prosecutors in Georgia filed extensive racketeering charges against YSL members, alleging that the group operated as a criminal street gang rather than simply a record label and artistic collective. The RICO racketeer influenced and corrupt organizations charges filed against YSL members included allegations of murder, attempted murder, drug trafficking, and other serious felonies that prosecutors claimed were committed as part of an ongoing criminal enterprise that used the record label as a front for illegal activities. Lil Baby's connections to YSL members, including documented collaborations, social media interactions, and public appearances together, created potential exposure to criminal liability if prosecutors decided to expand their investigation to include associates who might have knowledge of or involvement in the alleged criminal activities. The use of song lyrics as evidence in criminal cases has become increasingly common, with prosecutors arguing that rap lyrics often contain confessions or descriptions of actual criminal activities rather than fictional storytelling, making artists vulnerable to having their creative work used against them in court proceedings. The legal theory underlying RICO prosecutions allows prosecutors to charge individuals with conspiracy and other crimes based on their association with criminal enterprises, even when they may not have directly participated in specific criminal acts. The federal system's approach to drug trafficking and racketeering cases often involves seeking cooperation from lower-level defendants in exchange for reduced sentences, creating pressure on individuals to provide information about associates and business partners that could implicate previously uninvestigated parties. The potential for federal prosecution creates particularly serious consequences. Are typically longer than state sentences. Federal prisoners must serve at least 85% of their sentences, and federal judges have less discretion in sentencing than their state counterparts. Questions arise about what specific evidence or associations might have led to federal interest in Lil Baby's activities and whether his commercial success and public profile might have attracted on for small attention that could result in charges that threaten his freedom and career. The financial investigations that often accompany criminal prosecutions could expose income sources, business relationships, and financial transactions that might reveal activities inconsistent with legitimate entertainment industry earnings, potentially supporting charges related to money laundering or tax. Lil Baby's business ventures and investments, while appearing legitimate on the surface, could be subjected to intense scrutiny to determine whether they served as fronts for illegal activities or methods for laundering proceeds from criminal enterprises associated with his past or ongoing relationships. The complexity of modern financial investigations means that even a business relationships could be interpreted as evidence of criminal activity if they occur in patterns that suggest coordination with known criminal enterprises or individuals under investigation. The use of civil asset forfeiture laws allows law enforcement agencies to seize property and assets that they claim are connected to criminal activity, even without criminal convictions, creating significant financial losses that could devastate an artist's wealth and business empire. Legal experts note that the broad scope of federal financial investigations often reveals activities that were not the original focus of the investigation, but that can support additional charges or create leverage for prosecutors seeking cooperation in other cases. The entertainment industry's use of cash transactions, complex royalty arrangements, and international business structures can create documentation challenges that make it difficult to prove the legitimacy of income sources, particularly when combined with past associations that may suggest criminal connections. The pressure of potential financial ruin, combined with the threat of lengthy prison sentences, motivates defendants to consider cooperation agreements that require providing information about associates and business partners, creating cascading effects that can implicate multiple individuals in ongoing criminal enterprises. The social media documentation of Lil Baby's lifestyle, including expensive purchases, luxury travel, and associations with other individuals, creates a digital record that prosecutors can use to trace financial flows and establish patterns of behavior that support their theories about criminal activity and enterprise membership. Questions arise about what specific financial transactions or business relationships might have attracted federal attention and whether Lil Baby's wealth and spending patterns. Investigations into the sources of his income and assets. The psychological impact of facing potential life imprisonment creates enormous stress for defendants and their families, often affecting decision-making abilities and creating pressure to accept plea agreements that might not be in their best long-term interests, but that offer some certainty about the future. Lil Baby's transition from poverty to wealth, combined with the pressures of maintaining his success and supporting family members and associates who depend on his continued prosperity, creates complex psychological dynamics that could influence his response to legal challenges and potential cooperation decisions. The public nature of his career and the media attention additional stress and complications that private citizens do not face when dealing with criminal charges, making it difficult to maintain privacy and normal family relationships during legal proceedings. The impact on family members, including children and romantic partners, adds emotional weight to legal decisions that could affect not only the defendant's future, but also the well-being and security of loved ones who depend on his continued presence and financial support. The entertainment industry's tendency to quickly distance itself from artists facing serious legal troubles means that career opportunities, endorsement deals, and collaborative projects often disappear rapidly, creating immediate financial consequences that compound the stress of potential criminal penalties. Questions arise about what support systems and resources might be available to help family cope with the psychological and emotional challenges of facing potential life imprisonment while maintaining hope for a positive resolution of his legal situation. The impact of criminal charges on an artist's creative work and ability to continue producing music can be devastating, as the stress and time demands of legal proceedings often make it impossible to maintain the focus and energy necessary for artistic creation and career development. Lil Baby's influence within hip-hop culture extends beyond his commercial success to include his role as a voice for young people in urban communities who identify with his experiences and view his success as proof that positive change is possible despite difficult circumstances. His music has addressed social issues, including police brutality, systemic racism, and economic inequality, with songs like The Bigger Picture demonstrating his willingness to use his platform to comment on important social and political issues affecting his community and audience. The potential loss of this influential voice due to incarceration would represent not only a personal tragedy for Lil Baby and his family, but also a loss for communities that have benefited from his advocacy and positive messaging about overcoming adversity through legitimate means. The cultural impact of successful hip-hop artists extends beyond entertainment to include economic development in their communities, as their success often creates opportunities for local businesses, venues, and other artists who benefit from increased attention and investment in their areas. Legal experts wonder whether the potential prosecution of prominent hip-hop artists might reflect broader law enforcement approaches that disproportionately target successful individuals from minority communities, creating chilling effects on artistic expression and cultural development. The historical pattern of law enforcement scrutiny directed at successful hip-hop artists has created ongoing tension between the culture and criminal justice system, with many artists and fans viewing prosecutions as attempts to suppress cultural expression and economic progress in urban communities. The precedent set by high-profile prosecutions of hip-hop artists could influence how future artists approach their careers, potentially encouraging more cautious behavior that might reduce authentic expression and cultural relevance in favor of legal safety. The intersection of artistic expression and criminal justice raises complex questions about the appropriate limits of law enforcement interest in creative work and whether song lyrics and artistic collaborations should be subject to the same scrutiny as other forms of potential evidence. Questions arise about whether the prosecution of successful hip-hop artists serves legitimate law enforcement purposes or whether it reflects cultural biases and misunderstandings about the nature of artistic expression and the relationship between creativity and personal experience. The potential consequences of life imprisonment for Lil Baby would extend far beyond his personal situation to affect the entire hip-hop community and the fans who have been influenced by his music and message of perseverance and success despite challenging circumstances. The legal proceedings and potential trial related to any charges against Lil Baby would likely receive extensive media coverage that could influence public perception of hip-hop culture and criminal justice issues, making the case significant beyond its immediate impact on the individuals involved. The use of federal RICO statutes to prosecute hip-hop artists and their increasingly common, reflecting law enforcement approaches that view certain music industry relationships as potential criminal enterprises rather than legitimate business and artistic collaborations. The broad scope of RICO prosecutions allows prosecutors to charge individuals based on association and conspiracy theories that can be difficult to defend against, particularly when resources necessary to mount effective legal challenges to complex federal cases. The potential for sentences ranging from decades to life imprisonment creates enormous pressure on defendants to cooperate with prosecutors, potentially leading to plea agreements that may not reflect the actual extent of criminal activity but that serve prosecutorial goals of securing conviction. Questions arise about whether the potential prosecution of Lil Baby reflects legitimate law enforcement priorities or whether celebrity status and cultural prominence might influence the likelihood and intensity of criminal investigations and prosecutions. The long-term implications of potential convictions extend beyond immediate penalties to include lifetime consequences such as restrictions on travel, employment, and civic participation that can affect defendants and their families for decades after their release from incarceration. The impact on Lil Baby's business empire and investments could be devastating, as criminal convictions often trigger contract cancellations, partnership dissolutions, and asset forfeitures that can destroy wealth accumulated over years of successful career development. The entertainment industry's contracts typically include morality clauses and other provisions that allow partners to terminate relationships when artists face criminal charges, creating immediate financial consequences that can compound the stress and challenges of criminal proceedings. The loss of income from touring, recording, and endorsement deals could make it difficult to afford continued legal representation and support for family members who depend on the artist's financial success, creating additional pressure to resolve cases quickly even when longer-term interests might be better served by more thorough legal challenges. Legal experts wonder whether the financial pressure created by criminal charges might influence plea decisions and cooperation agreements in ways that do not necessarily reflect the actual extent of criminal liability but that serve immediate needs for resolution and damage limitation. The broader implications for the hip-hop collaborations, business relationships, and artistic expression to minimize legal risks, which could affect the authenticity and cultural relevance that have been essential to the genre's success and influence. The precedent established by high-profile prosecutions could influence how law enforcement agencies approach investigations of other artists and industry figures, prosecutions that affect the entire culture and business ecosystem surrounding hip-hop music. Questions arise about whether enhanced law enforcement attention to hip-hop artists reflects legitimate concerns about criminal activity or whether it represents cultural bias and misunderstanding about the nature of artistic expression and the relationship between personal experience and creative work. As the legal proceedings continue and the full scope of potential charges becomes apparent, the hip-hop community and fans worldwide watch to see whether one of the genre's most successful young artists will overcome these challenges or become another casualty of the complex relationship between street culture, artistic success, and criminal justice. The ultimate resolution of Lil Baby's legal situation will likely have lasting impacts on his career, family, and the broader hip-hop community that has supported his rise to prominence and viewed his success as proof that positive change is possible despite difficult circumstances and challenging backgrounds. The lessons learned from this case may influence how future artists navigate the transition from street life to legitimate success and whether the entertainment industry develops better support systems for helping artists avoid legal complications that could destroy their careers and freedom. If you're as shocked by the potential consequences facing Lil Baby as we are, go ahead and like this video. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think successful hip-hop artists face unfair scrutiny from law enforcement? How important is it for artists to completely separate themselves from their past when to achieve success? We want to hear your perspective on the challenges facing artists who come from difficult backgrounds and achieve mainstream success. Then hit subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss our coverage of hip-hop news and the complex relationship between music, culture, and criminal justice. Thanks for watching.